Sparta!
Welcome to Goth-Metal Lore. So, this is the first time I'm doing something that's not a review, because it's not a review in the sense that I had not seen this. I had seen this. The first format I got this on was HD DVD. That's right. We had a format before Blu-ray, which was called HD DVD, and Universal backed that, along with Microsoft. So, I try to remember the ones I have. Uh, I have King Kong, right? I have Hulk. I have this 300, and I'm trying to find the HD DVD versions of Star Trek Season 1. That would have been interesting to have as a collection. So many different things. Transformers was on DVD, HD DVD. There was the red ones. It was the red clamshells, the red jewel cases, which were as Blu-ray was the blue ones. And they don't really make the blue jewel cases much anymore. It was more of a novelty in the 2000s than it is today. And now there's nothing really out there. You have to go to the DVD vaults and hunt those discs down. So sucks to be that. But 300, and even 300 had this little tabletop game. This little tabletop, you could create your own movie, and you had a digital tabletop board game in the HD DVD and Blu-ray versions. So, what's it all about? You got Gerard Butler, directed by Zack Snyder. This was a time, and I can't help but feel that maybe he softened his movies up for Autumn. I don't know. I think just Autumn needed to be listened to. I think that's all that mattered. There was nothing wrong with Zack Snyder's movies at the beginning of this, okay? At the beginning of his directing journey, and there's still nothing wrong with Zack Snyder's movies. Zack Snyder's movies were great because you had all this just like let loose cannon type of action. This was like the He-Man of movies, right? He-Man and Skeletor, but this is mostly based on Frank Miller's depiction of Sparta and 300 back in the old days, back in the days of the Romans and the Greeks. Trojan Warriors. Spartans were the mascot for my high school. So yeah, Gerard Butler. You had Lena Headey back, of course, here as the wife. You have the characters who played Xerxes and all this weird shit. I mean, you had like 6 foot tall characters. You had a demonic ogre that was seduced by women that wanted to follow in the steps of the 300, but he couldn't. He was not physically fit to fit the 300, so he turned to a demonic character. There's Greek mythology all about. It's sort of like watching an extended flashback of what happens in Justice League. With the Warriors fighting against Darkseid. Um, as painful as for me is to say, Zack Snyder could direct He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, but I don't know if he's in the right state of mind anymore. Um, I think he's softening his blows these days with respect to Autumn. I think he is. That's for Rebel Moon, but this is 2006. So before I start going in circles again, I'll talk some more and we'll look at some scenes. I'll try to go through the copyright. So here, I think this is the first battle scene. So very interesting shit. Oh yeah, this is where they charge into battle. This is what a Masters of the Universe movie should be like. You should have these over the top. This is not an accurate representation of what happened. I mean, there's another 300 Spartans movie that might be more accurate. But this is like a twisted, heavy death metal version of that. And I think Zack Snyder is a very big fan of that kind of stuff. And there's a parallel to this movie that I have not watched. I do plan to watch later on. That's when they start to charge each other. So yeah, this is like a lot of everybody dies, including Gerard Butler. And I think Zack Snyder once pointed out that there was a relationship between boy and trainer when a boy becomes a Spartan. I think it's more of the Greek sexual kind of way, but them's were the times 2,000 years ago. So, and they shaved their head, I think, they shaved their head at a young age. There was some sort of rite of passage and things. There was all kinds of things going on. So Zach did his research about how Spartans would train, the training process, a lot of cool shit. I mean, this was, there was so much blood and gore and guts. I don't think it's on the level that we have seen before with horror movies and other things like ABCs of Death or Judge Dredd, but there's a lot going on here. Look at the mortality here. Here is where Leonidas talks to one of the diplomats, or the messenger, actually. That guy looks like fucking Mark Wahlberg a little bit, but pumped up. So here he has to make a choice of what he's going to do. So, kicking him into the hole, that was such an iconic thing. And everything, there's no real realism here. I mean, like most biopics are a joke anyway, because it's just Hollywood's version of what they want to think happened a long time ago. So, if you don't, if you try to make it accurate about that history, you're just going to hate Zach. But if you try to see it as its own world, like Eternia, then it's fun to kind of go into that. I think that was the problem with Rebel Moon. It wasn't even fun. I was thinking about this last night. Oh, there were only like 200 farmers there. But like in Avatar, you had like tribes and tribes and tribes of people. It wasn't just that one tribe that Jake Sully had to appease at Home Tree, who lost their giant treehouse, right? There are other tribes, and that those tribes helped fight up against the army, the military, the high tech military on their planet. So the fact that there were only 200 humans there was baffling because it's like did how long did they live there? Oh, there's Xerxes. How long did they live there? They lived there for about 20 years. Could they just move somewhere else? And I think they could have. All this could have been avoided. So the presentation is we have this sort of world. I kind of feel like it's the tone, the color tone for this movie is gold. Everything feels gold. You know what I mean? Like the gold river, the gold ocean. Xerxes is in gold, right? The sky is gold. Everything has a reddish or gold color, like warm colors, in the colors of the Spartans' helmets and the red capes, not like Superman's cape. So I mean, with Gerard Butler's acting, everybody does a really great job. It's very clever dialogue. It's almost poetic dialogue. You know, it's dialogue that's meant for presentation rather than any colorful ad libbing. It's not. It's more for presentation purposes. He's kind of flipping him off here, and the music is great. Frank Miller, he's a great illustrator. I always think of Frank Miller. I think of The Dark Knight Returns, which Zach does reference in Batman v Superman. I believe you, and then Batman takes out the gunner before he can kill Martha Kent. And I do remember him from Batman Year One back in 1987. Here, I think we come upon the Immortals, which reminds me of the Henry Cavill movie, The Immortals. Right into battle there. There's a sub-reality to all this stuff. I mean, it's great. It's like watching like the darkest sci-fi. Oh, by the way, J-Lo is going to be in a fucking sci-fi movie. Atlas, whatever that is. I don't even know if that's going to be any good. Look at this weird shit. And I think this is what Zach used for the basis of Apocalypse. How will the Warriors of Apocalypse look? And they looked bizarre. And they kind of the Warriors of Apocalypse had that same look and aesthetic as this does. Look at all these dead bodies. It's like this is the response. You build a wall of bodies. Oh yeah, he's not having it. This is all about just taking out down every group to the last. They're playing chess over and over again, taking out all until they fall. I mean, this is the hardest part. They're all going to fall. Um, I'm sure that in real life it must have been pretty straightforward, not as glamorous or as cool as this, but you got to make it cool. You got to make it exciting. That big ogre. Like I told you in Conan the Destroyer, this would have been like not a CGI guy, but you know, like the CGI monster at the end of Conan the Destroyer had more convincing than this one does. But and he also looks like the monster from Resident Evil 4. That's what I was thinking of. And I like that. Oh, that is in Spanish. Hijo mío. My son, my son. Oh yeah, he gets pummeled, doesn't he? Oh, this is not good. What's up, my pappy? Ooh. Oh shit. Yep, it gets that bad. Let me just take a rest here. And one guy had to be let go, and Gerard Leonidas says, "Go and tell them your story. Tell them what happened here." So he goes back home so that he could lead a new army. And we never see that sequel, but we do see the parallel to this one. So what am I going to give? What am my judgment for this? Is it a goth metal lore type of movie? Yes, it is. It has the dark themes. It has the gore. You could tune this to heavy metal or death metal easily, and it would work. There's fatalities. There's frightening imagery, demonic imagery. I'm giving it a solid 8, only because I felt like there could have been more to be done. But I love the fantasy. The world is great. I mean, if you had to really choose Rebel Moon or 300, I think it's going to be fucking 300. I think it was one of those, like, the last of those movies parodied by Mad Magazine. I mean, they had 75 years of like movie parodies that I was reading. What are we going to look at on Thursday? Well, it'll be a very simple one, and we'll take a look at it. It'll be Hurricania's Legacy, but more specifically, Red Sonja. See you Thursday.